Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. Looks like the intelligence bill is going to go through today. We'll have some comments, plus a new convention center for downtown Reno. On the rundown today, Chief of Staff for John Ensign, Scott Bensing, will have the latest from Washington, plus David Miller heads up the RSCVA. He'll have the latest on that convention center. And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Keith Lee, John Gwaltney, and Susan Fisher. It's all coming up next on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
If you think Wells Fargo is only checking accounts, you're not seeing the whole picture. Online brokerage, mutual funds, mortgages, and home equity accounts. So get more than free checking and start reaching your goals today. Now you get the picture. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
It's the next best thing to having your own wine cellar. Come to the Bonanza Casino for a first and fine dining, reasonably priced wines. When you dine at Cactus Creek Southwestern Steakhouse, you can also enjoy a fine bottle of wine at just about the same price you'd pay at the Vineyard, Silver Oak, Robert Mondavi, Rombauer, Cakebread, Jordan, and Duckhorn, just to name a few. And at the lowest prices of any restaurant or casino in Northern Nevada. And remember, all fine wines are not in wine cellars. They're in the Cactus Creek at the Bonanza Casino, where locals come to play.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're joined by Scott Bensing, who's Chief of Staff to Senator John Ensign. Welcome to the program, Scott.
Thank you, Sam.
First of all, we're going to see the vote coming up in just a couple of hours here in the Senate. Is the Senator going to support the intelligence bill?
The Senator and our staff are still going through it. As you know, it was hurry up and wait. We were negotiating the bill for a while. We finally got an agreement, and the Senator's going through some language that impacted the military specifically, but if he's satisfied with that, I suspect he will.
How many people do you have going through a bill this size? Because it's huge, correct?
We have, and not only is the bill huge, but what it means for the intelligence community. It's the largest reform in the community in 50 years, and when you write the bill, we all have intents. Each senator and congressman has an intent as to how they'd like to see it implemented. But as you know, when you're dealing with bureaucracies, funding, budgets, it's going to be very complicated. So we're trying to anticipate what some of the unintended consequences may be and make sure that the bill actually does what it's intended to do.
Okay, Senator Ensign was quoted the other day in the New York Times as having concerns about the bill. What were his concerns, and have they been addressed?
One of his primary concerns was a concern raised by Chairman Hunter and Chairman Warner of the Armed Services Committee. Senator Ensign is chairman of the Readiness Subcommittee, and his concern dealt with how intelligence would get, to make sure it wouldn't get caught up in the bureaucracy. Now with the Director of National Intelligence kind of between those collecting the material and the Secretary of Defense, we want to make sure that intelligence both is reported quickly up to him, but if there's actionable intelligence that our troops need to have, that it's not held up in the bureaucracy somewhere. And I believe those concerns were were met, and both Secretary of Defense and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff are satisfied.
Okay, because certainly Rumsfeld had a lot of problems with this bill going through.
He did, and they voiced their concerns, and the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs voiced his concerns as well. And the one thing we don't want to do through this is we don't want to rush it through and do harm. And although it's actually been expedited through the process, we believe it's not going to do any harm on the battlefield.
Senator Ensign really was almost thinking that it would be better to actually go out this next year where we could take more time to make sure that all these things were coming through the way that they wanted them to come through. He
did express that concern because, well, for a number of reasons. One of the things that was in there, and one of the things we pressed for, was some of the immigration reforms. We hear a lot about the driver's license issue for illegal aliens. The immigration reforms, by and large, that are in the Senate bill were there because Senator Ensign put his foot down and said there's some sensible things we can do and do them. For example, doubling Border Patrol agents over the next 10 years, customs agents, making sure that those who review visas overseas are the consular officials are U.S. citizens and not foreign officials. Things of that nature, fraud training for folks overseas, for those who are trying to pass off documents that aren't valid to gain entry in the United States. Those types of simple and common sense things are all in the final package, and we're very happy with that. Okay,
it's amazing that you know, with the hijackers, they had what, 63 driver's licenses between them?
Among the 19, yes. Not only that, Mohammed Atta had not only had he overstayed his visa, he had a valid driver's license, and I just heard this morning Chairman Sensenbrenner talk about how he was pulled over shortly before the 9/11 attacks. The officer saw he had a valid driver's license and let him go on.
You know, when we've been talking about the intelligence community with Jim Gibbons here just a couple of months ago, he was talking about it's going to be a 20-year period before we really see true reform. Is that accurate?
It's certainly the congressman, as an expert in the intelligence field, would know better than I. But there's going to be a lot of jockeying, just as we saw with the birth of the Homeland Security Department. There are all kinds of budgetary issues. You can lay out what the responsibilities are of the Director of National Intelligence, but there's all types of funding streams, a lot of which, most of which, 80% of which are in the Department of Defense. There's a lot of people who are going to be jockeying for power and funding, and that may take it'll take a long time to play out, and clearly money has to do with power to do things.
Did you watch Senator Reid's appearance on Meet the Press this past Sunday?
I did not, but I've
you've certainly heard about
the transcripts. Yes,
he certainly, to put it politely, goaded the president into using his influence to get this bill passed. Do you think it was Senator Reid's new power that helped to get this done this quickly?
Well, I think the president, for the last, certainly before the election, was going member to member, and it was a personal, very high priority for him. And I don't think it was anything new after the election. In fact, I was very happy to see that for those who thought it might have been politically motivated to get it done before the election, the president was every bit, if not more, engaged in trying to get Congress to act after the election.
I want to change topics on you here. We have several journalists being threatened right now across the country with being imprisoned for holding back on their sources for stories, including Judith Miller of the New York Times, who didn't actually write a story about Valerie Plame, the CIA operative that was outed, but is under threat of going to jail. Some senators have proposed a national federal shield law. Would Senator Ensign be in favor of that?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. It's not something we discussed, and not something I've read much about. It must be an inside the journalist beltway deal.
Well, would you bring it up to the Senate?
I will certainly do that.
We'd love to get an answer on that, because it just seems to me that for our country to continue to succeed in having the Fourth Estate and the Fifth Estate be watchdogs of government, that it's good that we would have protection for both the journalists and for the people they cover. But it does bring up another interesting point that was raised, which is not just journalists, but these bloggers also consider themselves journalists now too. And if there was a federal shield law, would it cover them as well? But questions for another day.
Yes, sir.
Always a pleasure to have you here. Scott
Thank you,
Bensing.
Sam.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Sunbelt Communication.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Ken Dillon, owner of Van Dyne Roofing, can get it fixed with his eyes closed.
Something spectacular has taken wing not far from Reno or Lake Tahoe, and never far from your mind. An escape of fine dining and legendary golf. Introducing the resort at Red Hawk. And at the center of it all, we've feathered our nest with new villas that have elevated Red Hawk to the status of a premier resort. The Resort at Red Hawk, a beautiful new arrival in northern Nevada.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
So, who do you use for workers' comp?
Pro Group Management.
Ah, I've heard some good things about them.
Oh, you bet. Employee background checks, safety training, claim seminars. Oh, and here's the great part. If you have an issue, they work for you, not against you.
Sounds perfect. And expensive.
Well, that's the best part. They saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
Works for me. Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we welcome to the program David Miller. He is the chairman of the Reno Sparks Convention and Visitors Authority. Pleasure to have you on the program, David, once again.
Thank you, Sam. Pleasure to be here.
And it was not a setup, but this morning's headline above the fold in the Reno Gazette-Journal, promoter says new event center not ready yet for prime time. As I say, not a setup, but explain, will you?
Certainly. The article in the paper indicated that the event center has a number of different problems, and really that's not news to the Convention and Visitors Authority. A lot of those issues were value engineered out early on during the process through the city's effort to save money, and the project is on time, under budget, and as far as any of those issues go, they've been addressed 6 months ago and are no longer really a factor.
Okay, so Bill Graham Presents, which is the company that's going to be bringing entertainment into the facility, had some suggestions about things that were needed, and those things will be taken care of?
Yeah, Bill Graham was brought in by the RSCVA through a sales effort to promote and look at the building, and we actually were proactive in bringing them in to look at other issues that may come up in the construction process. So we actually brought those things forward to the convention, or to the city to review. And again, the process that was discussed in the paper happened almost 6 months ago.
So old news and resolved.
Correct.
Okay. When's the center due to open?
I believe it's on the 26th of December, so coming up in the next couple weeks. Okay. We're very excited about it. If you've been down there, I would encourage anybody viewing here to take a drive-by.
We have a shot of the building here that we can show the folks. It's a stunning-looking building, actually.
Yeah, it's a fabulous building. It's going to be a real exciting opening for the city of Reno and for downtown. It's very, very in tune with what the city and downtown needs at this point.
Okay, there are folks in southern Nevada who are thinking, I know that they've got this big convention to the south of town. Why do they need one in downtown?
Well, the event center, as it's called, the downtown event center, is more of exactly what it says in an event center than a convention center. It's designed to hold trade shows and actually concerts. The first event that'll be in there is a roller hockey tournament. So those kinds of venues, hockey, anything that can be done in an indoor arena. And that's really what it's designed for. Trade shows additionally, but it's not a standard convention center in that sense.
Okay. And the hotels downtown have contributed towards this as well, into getting this facility done.
Well, this is actually mostly, it's all the city's money. There's room tax involved, I believe, and other contributions from the revenue sources the city has.
Okay, we talked on the phone a couple of days ago, and I told you one of the issues I wanted to bring up was a lot of people in southern Nevada read nothing about the fact that Reno is in trouble and its gaming is going backwards. What's the real story?
Well, this is a very exciting time in northern Nevada, and I think that oftentimes our compatriots in southern Nevada think that if Reno could reincarnate itself, it reincarnates itself as them. And I disagree with that. You know, we have more to offer as a complete and total package with the RSCVA has gone out of its way and taken the lead in repositioning this destination as America's adventure place and promoting it as gaming plus destination. Let's face it, there isn't a community really in the United States now that doesn't have gaming within a very short drive. So gaming is an important part of our industry and an important part of our community, but there's also very, very many other things. You know, the White River Rafting Park, there's another White River Rafting Extension Park being considered or hopefully going to be happening in Sparks also. So, you know, the total package is what we're looking at and marketing us and marking our destination and setting it apart.
Do you think the gaming community in northern Nevada is attuned to things that Alan Feldman was talking about at the Governor's Conference on tourism, where MGM, for example, revenues are coming not mostly from gaming now, but from shopping and dining and hotel? Are we in tune with that?
Well, that's the direction we need to go in. You know, again, slots and cots was a kind of a
slots and cots.
It was kind of a mantra that was set years and years ago by a number of different casino operators, and again, the RSCVA is leading the way in positioning ourselves as America's adventure place, which encompasses all of the things we can do here in the Reno and the Sierra, High Sierra community, not just gaming. Gaming is a very important element, and I think we all understand and know that. But when we look at the entire package, that is what the consumer, the educated traveling consumer, is looking for. They're not looking for, you know, a smoke-filled casino anymore. They want to be able to game, be able to go out white water rafting, be able to bike, be able to go out into the High Sierra, be able to go out into the community and experience other aspects that we have so much more to offer.
Let me change subject, Johnny, and bring you into your different life, which is you run a fine motel that also incorporates other facilities and restaurants and things like that. And it's zoned in an area of Reno that you could turn that property into a full-on casino. You have the zoning for it. There's a big debate both in the north and the south about where casinos should be, and a big debate certainly in the north about non-restricted gaming licenses. How do you view this at this point?
Well, you know, as the RSCVA, I don't really have a
no, and I'm asking you on
position
a,
at this
I'm asking
time.
on a private.
But personally, you know, it's something that the community and the legislature, I'm sure, is going to be looking at here, is going to have to take a long, hard look at. The city went through a process of establishing the transit corridor, which is Virginia Street, which is commerce, gaming, those kinds of things. And whether they're happy with that solution here that they did a few years ago, I don't really know. But it appears as though it's necessary for Reno, Sparks, Washoe County to develop an overall strategy that will eliminate positioning neighborhood casinos as well as other things. It's not just neighborhood casinos, but just look at the overall strategy for the master plan and position these businesses, whether it be gaming or others, in an area that's appropriate for what it is.
Okay, David Mel, always a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
When you need a new employee, how can you be sure who you're really hiring? A background investigation by Employer Links will uncover criminal records, verify the applicant's education, check their credit history and Social Security verification. An investigation will research professional licenses and driver's licenses and let you know why they're unemployed. Hiring the right person shouldn't be a gamble. Call Employer Links. Employer Links, protecting your investment.
Are you ready to experience Reno's ultimate lobster buffet? Then bring your appetite to the El Dorado, where we're serving a half pound of slipper lobster tail for just $5 with the purchase of a dinner buffet. Catch it every night of the week. Are you in?
If you think Wells Fargo is only checking accounts, you're not seeing the whole picture. online brokerage, mutual funds, mortgages, and home equity accounts. So get more than free checking and start reaching your goals today. Now you get the picture. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad.
Time for the Pundit Panel, and as usual, we have a great one today. John Gwaltney is here with the State School Board, Susan Fisher, owner of Fisher Consulting, and Keith Lee, attorney. It's a pleasure to have you here. John, you had some thoughts on some of the things the governor was talking about as far as education goes last week.
I enjoyed the program. By the way, congratulations, Sam. I think that deserves a high rating from all corners. Watching the governor was, I think, interesting. The only time I've ever actually watched your program twice in the same program. The governor made two very strong points about the rainy day fund and also the significance of kindergarten, which I followed up on kindergarten, indicating that Washoe County system and Clark County system of kindergarten was working, and he was somewhat supportive of that. I actually made a call to find out exactly how that worked because I didn't know. I'm pleased that he's supportive of that. I don't think it goes nearly far enough. It's simply targeting those schools with very high risk, putting another kindergarten teacher in there, as I understand it. This won't meet the needs of the 240 schools that are on the watch list currently and the 600 that will arrive on the watch list in the next 2 to 3 years. You know, the question of the rainy day fund is also an interesting challenge because, frankly, it's raining. The schools are in a real crisis at this point. I don't know what the priority will be of the yeah, I do know what the legislative priority will be. I think that's a bit unfortunate because now is the time to attack the problem.
Keith?
Well, I think I'm going to reduce it to a more local level, and that's that the school board has just adopted higher standards that I think are important, and Washoe County School Board, and I think that's a step in the right direction. I think we have to quit dumbing down education. I think we have to teach to the excellence of those who wish to be educated and wish to achieve. And I think that the school board, in this action it just recently took, is a big step in that direction. And I'm very pleased that they did that.
Susan, last words?
I agree with that on the Gateway program. We can't dummy down, but if the students can opt out of the requirements just based on an approval from their permission from their parents, the teachers and the counselors, and when the counselors, there are 350 to 1, 350 students to 1 counselor, how easy is it going to be for them to opt out of those requirements?
And we're going to talk much more about this. Ray Hager, who is our expert on education, is going to be on the program tomorrow, and we'll talk more about that. I wanted to bring up the fact that Scott Shearer is requesting not to be reappointed to the Gaming Control Board. Are we hearing the sound of Attorney General here? Keith?
I think so. I think, and I'm not obviously talked to Scott about his decisions, nor would it be appropriate for him to do so with me. But I think clearly that's a signal that he is certainly interested in that job. On the other hand, that's a very stressful job that Scott's been in, and I don't blame him for wanting to leave after I think he's done a tremendous job in that position. I've had the opportunity to appear before the control board on many occasions. I think he's a first-rate member, as are the other two. So I don't blame him for leaving, but I think certainly that the imminent resignation of Brian as the Attorney General once his nomination is confirmed, that clearly Scott's looking at that.
Okay, and I guess the big question is who else might be interested in this at this point?
Well, a name that's tossed around is Amadeus, and I don't know if Amadeus is really interested, but people are talking about him for that. I haven't heard a lot of other significant names.
Okay, so John, basically right. The governor said he wanted to appoint somebody who's a Republican and could run and be elected.
Right, and at this point, I'm not really feeling a name at this point. Yeah.
Okay, all right, well then let's move on. Let's talk about, the big discussion recently has been about these tax caps. and you know, with the amount of money flowing into the state's coffers and the county's coffers. But there is real concern at the school boards, isn't there not, John, that, that there could be a big problem there?
I think there's, well, I've said many times, I think a train wreck's out there about 4 years away, maybe a lot closer now. The tax caps make some sense, but what I'm hearing is way too restrictive. So I'm inclined to think that a revenue stream that we created with the $830 million plus could have fixed the problem had it been pointed the right direction. It's not been pointed the right direction and therefore not fixed the problem, and tax caps now will guarantee the train wreck.
Well, and I think just in today's paper was announced that the Senate Minority Leader Dina Titus has requested a bill draft request that is going to freeze it right now, because otherwise action has to be taken by what, Susan, the end of March of next year to get it to the governor's desk in time to sign to impose the cap. So Dina has requested a bill draft that's going to put an entire freeze on property tax increases, and that's going to speed up your 4-year train wreck calendar, I think, John.
Yeah.
Well, locally, a problem that we have too is the depreciation issue. We have a lot of older homes here that have depreciated, and we're not getting the revenue from those, yet we have the new homes that their tax bills are, even though the home is not worth a whole lot more than this whole home in Old Southwest Reno, they're being taxed a lot more. And there's an imbalance there.
And you know, and there's that imbalance. I think we have to honestly discuss a split tax roll between commercial and residential properties. That's going to require an amendment to the Constitution. I think that there's a lot of issues that are out there waiting to be addressed, that have to be addressed if we're going to try to bring some sense of fairness and equity to this entire property tax issue.
But then you also have the Las Vegas Review-Journal editorial page that's saying we're getting way too much money and we're going to spend it, and if we do, we're going to be in big trouble the next time we have some kind of recession. We're out of time, but we'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
For a hole in your roof or a whole new roof, Ken Dillon, owner of Van Dyne Roofing, can get it fixed with his eyes closed.
Always love to get your emails at newsmakers@kvbc.com and newsmakers@krnv.com. Coming up tomorrow, the ever gentle Howard Rosenberg plus foreign affairs expert Ty Cobb. We'll see you then.